Welcome to Rose Tinted Gaming. My name's Hunter, and today we're going to continue our playthrough of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. Last time, we destroyed the heart of Raleigh's power generator. Not exactly certain how all the lights are still on, to be honest. There must be a warehouse full of backup gens somewhere. I mean, it's not like this place can run on solar power. Wow, I got way off topic way too quick that time. Anyways, today we're going to perform a heist on a treasure vault. So let's begin. Here's something noteworthy before we enter the vault. This is the fourth and final enemy type for this area. These guys are referred to as flashlight guards, and they are a staple for the entire series. Every single world throughout every Sly Cooper game has its own version of flashlight guards. Here, we have these unusual looking one-eyed squid janitors, I guess? Regardless, the gimmick for these folks is that they are completely blind unless you stand in their flashlight. If, however, you do enter their light, you have only a split second to react before they shoot you in one form or another. These guys are gross, as they spit a glob of sticky mucus that kills you, but What's funny about this guy, though, is that the developers have him patrolling right in front of this level, somewhat implying that this is a preview as to what you're going to find inside. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Being honest, we won't be seeing these guys for a couple more episodes yet. All that aside, however, let's go ahead and get this heist started.
Jackpot, Sly! Look at all this stuff! Must be worth millions! And you know what that means? Tighter security. You're gonna have to be extra sneaky to get the treasure key here.
So there's a couple things to talk about here. First of all, we finally get a chance to get our sneak on in a proper heist, and I love that. As Bentley explained, this is a full-on treasure vault, so the theme for this level is trip lasers. And trust me, there's gonna be a lot of trip lasers. But more importantly than that is the fact that he also explained that everything in here is incredibly valuable. And that is positively lovely, because if you want, you can just straight up smash everything to bits. Which again harkens back to the fact that as Sly is trying to get back his book, in the process he is going to vex, annoy, and take some proper revenge on the people who took it from him. Speaking of, over here we have a portrait of Raleigh himself. Actually, everything in this level is modeled after him and his family, which once again reinforces who your enemy is to the player. It's great. This door here is pretty much the first thing that you see in this level. In terms of level design, it is completely pointless. Walking towards it will make it open automatically. But from an art direction perspective, it tells a neat little story. Based on some of the installations we can see in the vault, you can tell that the vast majority of these are family heirlooms from the nobility Raleigh stemmed from, as referenced in the intro cutscene. This door, however, comes in stark contrast to the rest of the art decorating the hall. It's Raleigh's mark on his legacy. It tells us everything we need to know about him. His goals are incredibly shallow and face value. He has no real reason to do what he's doing other than the fact that to him, it looks cool. Coming up, we have some neat laser traps. They're pretty simple to navigate, but what I want to call attention to is some of the decoration in this room. Firstly, over here we have this neat looking frog armor. I love how big it is in comparison to Sly. The massive guy who once wore this is pretty clearly one of Raleigh's ancestors, a fact made all the more hilarious by how tiny Raleigh himself is when we finally get to see him in person. Just opposite it, we have this painting. I've been trying to think up a stupid pun for this piece for days now, and the best I've got is the Froja Lisa. Go ahead and do me a favor and leave a comment if you can think of anything better for me, please. With that all dealt with, we've come now to what I've been calling the antechamber. Once you enter the room, the lasers coming out of the skull are going to chase you all throughout. You're meant to dodge it and run around this fence built by the other lasers, but as per usual, you can just make a beeline for the siren and get off scot-free. Also in this room though, is our safe, so we're going to be returning here as soon as we've gotten the rest of the bottles. Speaking of clue bottles, this one in particular caused me so much pain as a child. It was quite possibly years before I discovered that A, you can get up on this platform, and B, they hid a clue bottle behind the skull. If my memory serves, this is the single most challenging bottle to find in the entire game, which is really funny considering just how easy the rest of the level is. From up here on this vantage point, the more astute viewers may notice that, yeah, that's the treasure key over there. This level is already practically over. It was for this reason that, as a child, before I had a memory card, this would always be the first level I did. You see, I didn't understand the concept of time. I mean, I still don't entirely, I suppose, but regardless, I seem to think that because the level was shorter, I would get through the rest of the game faster, despite the fact that every level is requisite. Logic wasn't my strong suit as a kid, I will fully admit. So remember how last time I mentioned that clue safes are designer shorthand for running out of places to hide the bottles? Yeah, this level is riddled with these safes. I mean, it makes sense, it's a tiny level, but I don't know why they stuck so hard to the 30 clues rule. I mean, they put 20 clues in the intro levels, why not do the same thing for short levels and save everybody the hassle? These totem poles here at the end of the dock are incredibly innocuous and non-noteworthy, right? Like, there's absolutely nothing interesting of note that I can stop and talk about. Wrong. If that's what you're thinking right now, then you clicked on the incorrect video, my friend. These totem poles actually have an interesting attribute to them. Firstly, they say no trespassing, which is odd considering that we're already in the inner sanctum of the vault. What is this sign doing for anybody? Secondly, you can't actually break the totems themselves. What you can do is break the no trespassing sign, thus making it perfectly legal for me to trespass. Furthermore, if you jump and attack it, you can break the bones, which makes the fire go out. Perhaps the bones hide the internal fuel reserves. See what I mean? This is pure content. You all had better be so entertained right now. Up next is a cool little platforming section on these lily pads. What makes it cool is that this part was featured on the back of the game's box as one of the stills from the game teasing you as to what contents were inside. I actually have massive amounts of nostalgia for that time. I remember the amount of times I was forced to go to the mall, but managed to finally convince my parents to let me browse what GameStop had on offer. Naturally, once I was in, I just had to get something from the bargain bin. Being honest, the best part about buying a new game, other than actually playing it of course, was the ride home. I would spend the entire time staring at the back of the box and just having a great time imagining what stories the game had to tell me as soon as I finally got to play it. Alright, that's enough of a nostalgia trip for one day. Let's go back to talking about something stupid. These spotlights block the pathway. For us, they're easily dodged because we have our super sneaky thief moves. But why are these two in particular swaying slightly side to side? It's not like they're covering more ground, the entire walkway is already completely lit up. Maybe they just have loose fixtures? Let's take a look and... Oh, no, it looks like the lights stem from absolutely nothing at all. I have no answers. That brings us to our treasure key. We can't get it yet though, there's still our safe upgrade to grab. So go ahead and have a listen to the music while I grab the last bottles. And please, make note of the subtle harpsichord they use in the track to underline that this area is extra fancy.
Whoever thought this code up knew what they were doing. Dial in 436. These are the blueprints of Raleigh's entire operation. I wonder... Yes! I can wire this info directly into your binocucom. It'll show you the position of nearby clues and breakable objects.
Okay, so two bits of bad news here. Firstly, still no interesting line from Bentley. I know I'm starting to sound actually insane at this point, but I swear to God they exist, just keep watching. One of these safes, it is going to happen. Secondly, we have a garbage upgrade. What this does is when you pull out your binocucom, breakable objects and clue bottles get highlighted with these garish triangles. This sucks for us in particular, because I already know where all the clue bottles are, so any useful info that gives is already voided. Also, when explaining a point to keep things visually interesting, I tend to use the binocucom to look around at stuff. Now that's going to be covered in triangles. Hooray! And here we are at the end of the level once again. But before we grab the key, and I know you're on your edge of your seat, so just hold out for just a second, we have cause for celebration. This is the very first episode in Rose Tinted Gaming history that doesn't feature a mention of jump and hit the circle button. Yippee! I mean, I guess I just ruined it there, but whatever, let's just get the stupid key. As always, thank you for your very limited time and patience. I am having a great time making this series, and I can only hope that you're having as much fun watching it. Next time, we're going to have an in-depth lesson on rotational torque. See you then!